At East Boston High School. We welcome you all here this evening. So once again, my name is Phillip Brangiforte. For those of you who don't know me, I'm the headmaster at East Boston High School. I'd like to welcome everyone here this evening. Just to let you know that I'm not only the headmaster at East Boston High School, I am also a lifelong resident of East Boston. I grew up here my entire life. I'm a graduate of East Boston High School, and so this is very important to everybody in this room. I also wanted to say that last week we were proactive. We had a meeting with our parents to let them know what was going on within our school, to assure them that their children are safe in our school, and I just want to reiterate that to everyone here. At this time, this all went down. I just want to say I want to publicly thank Mayor Walsh, who gave me a call personally to let me know what was going on. I thank him very much for everything he's done. We've been in close contact with the mayor's office, with Commissioner Evans, Captain McCormick, for everything that happens at East Boston High School. So I also would like to say, please feel free at any time. We're a school that's open. If you feel you ever want to come into our school, you are more than welcome to come to East Boston High School and see the great things that are going on here at East Boston High School. Our graduation rate's up, dropout rate's down. We're doing a lot of great things here at East Boston High School. So without further ado, I want to introduce to you Mayor Walsh.
Thank you very much, Headmaster. I want to thank you for everything you do in opening up your building to us tonight. I truly appreciate it, so thank you very much. I also want to recognize a few folks that are here in a second, but I want to thank the whole East Boston community for being here tonight. I know that over the course of the last several months, there's been a lot of tension in the neighborhood, a lot of concern in the neighborhood. We have most law enforcement officials here who are going to talk about their different pieces to helping us in the community, and I'm going to bring them up in a second. I want to just give a couple of introductions to a few people that have been working very closely with me in our office, in the different offices, and your state representatives here. Adrian Madaro is here. I want to thank Adrian. Your city councilor, Lamattina, who's here. Thank you, Sal. We also have from the Suffolk County Sheriff's Office, that Sherriff Steve Tompkins is here. Thank you, Sheriff. We also have Chief Probation Officer from East Boston, Tom Tissanari's here. Thank you, Tom. We have the Colombian Consul General here, Yeda Mora here. Thank you, Consul General, for being here with us today. Thank you very much. And also we have many members of the command staff, the police department, the captain. Thank you very much for being here as well tonight. I want to thank you. We're also joined by Suffolk County District Attorney, who's going to speak in a little bit. Dan Conley's with us tonight. And I want to kind of a special thank you to the United States Attorney Carmen Ortiz and the Police Commissioner Billy Evans in their work over the last several weeks here in the community, doing some incredible work. I want to thank you both for the work. I'm not going to talk too long initially. We'll take some questions later on, but I just want to talk a little bit about the state of crime that we're in today, and then I'm going to turn the microphone over. The order will be, we'll have the United States Attorney say a few words and talk. We'll have the Commissioner say a few words. We'll have the Suffolk County District Attorney say a few words, and then you can open up to questions directed at any one of us up here when we get started. But just this year alone in East Boston, when we look at the numbers, and last year, we set a lot of records and lows for crime all across the city of Boston. We were able to take, the police office were able to take 700, almost 800 guns off the street last year. Violent crime was down, property crime was down. We had a 16-year low in homicides. We did a lot of work. The one area that was up was shootings in the city. That's the one stat that went up in the city of Boston. And we spent, the United States Attorney's boss had us down in Washington with the U.S. Attorney's Office, the Police Commissioner, myself, talking about trends in crime stats around the country. And when you look at what's happening around the country, Boston is one of the few cities in America that the crime stats are going down in as many areas as we are. So a lot of good work has been done. That doesn't that doesn't make everyone comfortable what's happened in the last several months, but just overall crime is down. In East Boston for this year alone, we're down 34% in crimes. We had 67 victims last year. Last year this time we have 44 victims right now, which is a big drop in crime. So we're going to continue to move with that. Capt. McCormick and his team is doing a great work in the district, as well as the school police that are here. And also, the Commissioner's going to talk a little bit. We currently have a class in the academy right now that's going to be graduating over the next couple months. Some of those officers are going to be directed towards East Boston. We're going to make sure I want to thank the clergy who are here with us tonight, we've done 2 peace walks in East Boston. Last year, when the crime was going up in the city, when the shootings were happening in the city, the Commissioner, myself, and some other folks sat at a table. We talked about walking in neighborhoods and doing crime walks. That was early in the summer. When we did those in every single neighborhood, we saw a drastic reduction in crime, a drastic reduction in shootings, where people were walking their neighborhoods with not just clergy, but community members, walking around, just walking through the different neighborhoods. We saw a drastic reduction, and we've done 2 of those in East Boston, and my suggestion is, as we get into the warmer months, as we start to hit into the spring, we should get ahead of it, not wait for an incident to happen, but start doing it now in different neighborhoods in East Boston, walking around with people. The police will be there, we'll be there, walking out there, making sure that we're doing things we have to do to show that we're going to continue to move forward. We have 15 youth programs in the city, different organizations that are working to make sure that we do more with youth. So what we're doing is, we're not just simply fighting crime, we're also doing outreach into different neighborhoods with different groups of young people. We've created programs that are benefiting, a program called Operation Exit, where we've targeted young people in the neighborhood that have had previous records, or in the United States Attorney's office doing the same thing in her office. And we're going to be meeting collectively to talk about how do we actually target some of the impact players in the community, and how do we get them off the street, get them into a productive way of life, get them into a job. Operation Exit has 28 young people working right now in the trades. We've expanded that program to the hospitality industry. We're expanding that program with a federal grant that we received, a $3 million federal grant. We're going to continue to work to make sure that we're targeting young people, along with what we've done as far as Hope Line and keeping up. Am I going too fast? Sorry. I'll give you a break. Sorry about that. But I just want to say, this isn't simply, the issue of crime can't be solved by just arresting our way out of a situation. The issue of crime has to be a multi-pronged approach. And the partners that are in the front row here, whether it's the state representatives in the State House, the City Council, the District Attorney, the Sheriff's Office, the Police Commissioner, the U.S. Attorney's Office, we're all working collectively to make sure we're doing different things. Steve Tompkins is working on reentry programs, Conley's working on education programs. So what we're doing is we're working together so that we can truly put a program together to really address the issue of crime and violence in our city. Some of that crime and violence is misdirected youth, and we have to continue to pull them back. Some of the crime is crime, and they're working very hard on it. So I'm going to stop talking now for a minute. I'm going to ask the United States Attorney to come up here and say a few words, and then she'll bring up the Commissioner, he'll bring up the District Attorney, and then we'll open up for conversation with everyone. And again, thank you for coming out tonight. I know how much you love this neighborhood. We all love this neighborhood. That's why we're here tonight, to show our commitment to you, to let you know that we're going to do everything we can to make sure East Boston stays a safe community, a great community for all the families that live here. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Buenas noches. It's a real pleasure for me to be here this evening with you, with the Mayor, the Commissioner, my other good friend and colleague, District Attorney Dan Conley, and all of the other people who are here to talk to you about what's been going on, and really to hopefully answer some of your questions. As you know, I'm the United States Attorney. I oversaw the investigation that resulted in 56 individuals being charged with various crimes last Friday, on actually almost 2 Fridays ago. January 29th. And as many of you are familiar, the core of that case related to charges of conspiracy to racketeering activity that included 5 murders that had occurred in the East Boston, Chelsea area, as well as attempted murders, drug trafficking, and other violent activities. This was a long-term investigation which resulted in numerous arrests a couple of weeks ago, and where everyone that was arrested is in custody now, and we believe will remain in custody. I'm sure you have a lot of questions about the specifics of the case, because this is an ongoing investigation and now it is a pending prosecution. I'm not able really to talk about the specifics and the facts of the allegations in the indictment. What I will tell you is this, that as the mayor said, we can't work in silos. And this is an investigation that was a long-term investigation with tremendous amount of effort, not only just from our office, but it was an investigation led by the FBI, working with the state police, with commissioners, Boston Police Department, and others police departments, as well as the Chelsea PD and Everett PD. We all work together. It's our job, when people ask me, what do you do as U.S. Attorney? I say it is my job to make every effort and to work with my law enforcement partners on the local, on the state, and on the federal level to keep you safe, to work with communities. But law enforcement can't do it alone. And if you take a message from tonight, it is that we need your help. We need you to work with us in helping to keep you safe, to ridding away the violence that may exist and does exist in your neighborhoods. But you see all of the effort that is going into play. Shortly after the arrest a couple of weeks ago, my office met with representatives of the high school here, as well as the district attorney's office and the police department, to focus on, as the mayor said, prevention and intervention. I said that during my press conference after the arrests were executed in this case. We can't just have the law enforcement piece. You have to have prevention and intervention efforts, and that's law enforcement working with the community. Hopefully you're being observant and you're cooperating with law enforcement to really target those individuals that are creating the greater harm. The mayor mentioned a number of different programs that really help your kids to stay out of trouble. And so I think that's our effort today, that and ongoing, that we will continue to work together and to try to keep your community safe. But we're counting on you and your involvement to work with us to help us do our jobs better, more efficiently, and certainly more successfully. Thank you.
Thank you. First of all, thank you for hosting this. Since the arrest happened, I've been sort of eager to get out here and talk about some of the things we've been doing and some of the good work and some of the issues that we've been facing. And obviously, I'd like to recognize some of my team here. Obviously, I have Superintendent O'Rourke, who's in charge of patrol over here. I have Superintendent Halstead, who's the night commander on the district, and as you know, obviously, Kelley, Captain Kelley McCormick, who does a great job out here. And also, we've got our community service officers from District 7 who do a super job. Like the mayor says, we work hard to make sure that the neighborhoods across the city are safe. And we had some pretty good numbers last year, but we're always looking to improve. Overall, Part 1 crime was down 9% in the city. The homicides were down. Violent crime was down. But the most important thing that was down to us, and the mayor always is mentioned, is we were down 16% on locking up people too. And so we didn't achieve that by cracking down and locking everybody up. That was done by a lot of great community work. It was involved diverting kids from the criminal justice system, getting them jobs, getting them opportunities. And I love the fact, I'm more proud of the fact we lock people up less and less, and the crime rate's still going down. And that goes to the good work that the men and women in this job are doing all the time. The mayor is fully behind us all the time. Dan Conley, Carmen Ortiz, and Sherriff Tompkins, and all the electeds. We got a lot of great support. As the mayor said, last year, Part 1 crime was down 20% in East Boston. That's some pretty good numbers. That means house breaks, all major crimes were down. I know I was here last year at this time talking about the rash of sexual assaults out here. Knock on wood, that's gone away. You know, so we've been working hard out here. Can we get more officers out here? Absolutely, and we're working to do that. The mayor is continually hiring. We have a class of 54 right now in the academy. Hopefully we have them out in June to get them out here and have more presence out here. But we're trying our best to be out here. I know, you know, we were out here after the Martinez boy was murdered on Constitutional Beach, and then we had the second murder like 14 days later. And you know, we realized what it did to the community, and that's why, you know, we were doing peace walks in Roxbury, Mattapan, and Dorchester, where we see way too many murders, but we seen what it did to this community. And you know, Reverend Rivers is here, Gene Rivers, Reverend Scott, great partners who are out on the peace walks with me. We brought it over here, and we had a great turnout, probably the biggest turnout we ever had. So, like the U.S. Attorney says, we're only one part of the solution. We really are. We need everyone's help here. Some of these kids involved need a lot of resources, need alternatives to what we can bring to them. But let's understand one thing. You know, we're out here, number one, to make sure everyone's safe. Number two, to make sure we're all approachable. I know the whole idea of the immigration thing. We're not the immigration police here. We don't go on that issue. Nobody should be afraid to approach us. You know, unless you do something serious like what happened here in East Boston, that's the only time we really care about what your status is. We're here for you. We're going to work harder. We're going to have our school police out here working with the kids. We're going to have our game unit trying to get the kids in alternatives such as playing basketball. You know, I just came from the Charlestown hockey rink where we had a lot of African-American kids trying on skates playing hockey for the first time. That's what I like to see, you know? Those type of programs, and that was great. Those kids were having a great time, but we need to keep these young kids who come from, you know, different countries. We need to keep them busy. We need to keep them involved. We'll do our piece, but I think it's a larger picture that we all have to get involved. So I just want to thank you all. We'll answer some questions, but you know, I think our team does a great job, and we'll work harder, believe me. With that being said, my great partner, Dan Conley, who's the district attorney, is going to get up and say a couple.
Thank you very much, Commissioner, and it's my pleasure to be here tonight. I do want to acknowledge Rep. Madaro. Where'd he go? He was just sitting right there. Well, he called me a few weeks ago and he said, would I come out to East Boston because the community was very concerned about, as Commissioner Evans mentioned, the 3 homicides that occurred out here. And we work together every day on many, many things, but in no crime do we work more closely together is when there's a homicide that occurs anywhere in the city. I assign somebody immediately, he assigns somebody immediately. They work together with one single-minded purpose, and that's not only to solve the case, to figure out who did it, but also to bring some level of comfort and closure to the families of the victims who are involved in these cases. And we had several conversations about that. I could hear the pain in his voice when he talked about these kids, 115, 116, 117. The mayor stopped me recently, mentioned the same thing. This troubles us when any kid is killed. So we were working these cases very hard. We were making significant progress in these cases when we were looped into Carmen's investigation, and we knew within a matter of days we were going to be able to bring closure to a lot of families. So I thank her, the FBI, and the U.S. Attorney's Office for the wonderful investigation that they did. Some 50 individuals who we believe are affiliated with MS-13 are now in custody. Now there's probably 50 or 100 more kids out there who were attracted to MS-13, who were not arrested, who may have considered, should I join MS-13? Should I be involved in some other gang? And these are the people that we're trying to reach every single day. So I have a program in my office, the mayor alluded to it. It's called Overcoming Violence, and we try to get into all sorts of schools all over Suffolk County. And earlier today, I happened to be in one at Codman Academy over in Dorchester. And I spoke to about 30 or 40 kids who just graduated a 6-week program. We've done it at Umanisal, haven't we? You and I were there recently with that. We want to do one here. Headmaster, we're happy to do it.
It's in March.
It's in March. It was already scheduled. Excellent. Thank you. And thank you for being a great role model. East Boston kid, right? Headmaster. That's what I like to say. You know, kid from Eastie, kid from Southie, kid from Dorchester, kid from Hyde Park, kid from Hell's Kitchen, New York, Philadelphia, New York also. But, you know, not myself, but these guys are great role models, and women are great role models for these kids, and that's what we try to project to them. But I asked a question today. I handle like 35,000 prosecutions every year. What percentage of those individuals go to jail as a result of their contact with our office? Does anyone have any idea? One kid raised their hand and said 50%. It's 5%. This is the point that we try to make, is that it's generally break after break after break. And then, unfortunately, someone like the U.S. Attorney has to step in. Now, for most individuals, they deserve a break, they deserve a shot, they deserve a number of opportunities to get on the straight and narrow path. But for that group of 56, they do not deserve a break, because we have to be safe from them. But you ever hear the expression, we have to separate the wheat from the chaff, right? That expression means the good from the bad. The Bible, right? Thank you, Reverend, appreciate that. I didn't know that. I learn something new every day. But this is what we try to do in our office, and I know the police are trying to do it too, and that is identify the worst, either the most trouble, what do we call them, the impact players. We have to find out who they are and target them for swift punishment. Get them off the street to protect us all. But there's the other 95% we have to reach through many programs and so forth. So I commend the mayor for the many things that he's doing, the police commissioner, the sheriff, who, when they do come out of, while they're there, he has a captive audience, no pun intended. He does a tremendous job trying to keep them from going back. So I'm happy to be with this group of role models and be part of this team. And East Boston is a safe neighborhood in a very safe city of Boston. And I look forward to working closely with you in the years to come to make sure it stays that way. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone. Let me just make a few more announcements. We have the Consul General from El Salvador. Consul General Lopez is here. Thank you very much, Consul General. Also from our Office of New Bostonians, Alejandra St. Guillen is actually organizing a task force meeting tonight. She couldn't be here, but Aunt Lee from her office is here. I want to thank Aunt for being here. We have Jerome, the Chief of our Civic Engagement here for the City of Boston's here, and Claudia's here as well. Thank you very much. The Commission just reminded me, once the graduating class of police officers come on the street, we also have a new program that's going in. We reinstituted the cadet program in the City of Boston, and we'll be getting 40 cadets will be going on, and you'll see them out in the street sometime in mid-May to June, in that time frame, where we're working through, vetting through the class now and doing background checks. So they don't have full police powers, but you will see them out in the street. They will be our future police officers, and probably many will be from the East Boston neighborhood, so they're going to be out in the street. And when you walk out tonight, when you leave, there's a flyer on the back table that has a list of 17 different East Boston programs, everything from the Boston Center for Youth and Family Centers to Zoomix, to the YMCA, to basketball, volleyball, hockey, soccer, everything on here. It's translated to Spanish. So if you have young people that live in your home, or young people that live on your street, and you want to connect them to something and they're not connected, or parents you know that might not know where to connect their kids to, we have many great organizations in East Boston. I should say you have many great organizations in East Boston that you can actually tie these young people to. And that's what we want to do, is engage them as many as possible, not just while they're in school, but also while they're outside of school. And the hotline, that's not called the hotline anymore, the job line opened up today, so also gearing towards the summer, we should be contacting, having young people call in. We're going to try and employ, last year we employed a record 10,600 plus kids. We're going to try and shoot for higher this year, so any kid that's looking for a job in the summertime, to keep them off the street. So all these different things we're doing are working. So I just want to thank you for that. And now I'd like to just ask you, if you have questions or concerns, depending on the amount of people that want to speak, just, if you have a question, just gear it, your question to a comment to who, and we'll pick out who it should go to. And if you have a concern, if you could be brief on it, because I think we all know the concerns that everyone has here. We want to try and get as many comments and questions in as possible tonight, if possible. So with that, I'd like to open to the floor. Anyone has any questions? Yes, ma'am.
Project. Have any of the people who have been arrested, have they made it bail, or are they going to be considered flight risk? We don't need to worry about them getting back their
The question is, if you didn't hear it, how many of these people that were arrested have bailed themselves out, if they're eligible for bail, and what the flight risk might be? I think I got that right.
Everyone that has been arrested associated with this matter, most have been detained and will continue in detention. So they're going to be held prior to the case being resolved. I believe there are 2 or 3 individuals who are still pending a detention hearing in federal court, and that will occur either by tomorrow or early next week. Many have waived detention, a detention hearing, and have agreed that they will remain in custody in under federal authorities pending the resolution of their cases. Many of them have detainers by ICE, so that even if they were released, they are subject to potential deportation and would go into custody. So as you may understand, many of them, most if not all, will remain in custody. I will say this, there are still 14 individuals that remain that are not in custody of the 56 that were charged, and we are making efforts to locate them. They may no longer be in the state, but most of the ones that are loose are ones that have been charged with immigration offenses and some other not as serious. Most of the individuals charged with the RICO conspiracy charges and the more serious offenses have been arrested and remain in custody.
Any other questions?
My name is Margaret Farmer, and I'm a resident of Jeffreys Point. I'm really glad to hear about the cadet program and about the group that we have graduating this summer for the police force. But I think the lower number of officers we've had has been an ongoing issue. And I'm just wondering, what are some other things that we're doing to recruit police officers, and what are some other things that we're doing in a longer term to make sure that we don't have this same staffing issue as we go forward? Thank you.
So we're going to put this class on, and once they get out, we'll probably be putting another class on. So
okay.
The mayor's good about continually getting classes on. Again, every day I come in, one of the first things I do is I read the reports. I know Superintendent O'Rourke does, I know Captain McCormick does, and you know, we have probably 2,175 officers, and we allocate them best based on where the crime is. And you know, I've been on 33 years. East Boston has never lost any officers. You know, obviously, I think we've always had the same staffing because East Boston's been a quiet place for the most part, and it's gotten quiet, believe it or not. I know that the anxiety level has gone up because of this recent violent gang activity, but like I said, it's down 20% from where it was. And when Captain Cunningham was here, he did a great job. Captain Claiborne did, but Kelley's doing a great job.
Oh, yeah.
And if I see, and you know, I have Sergeant Detective Charlie Daly here. Charlie is here. He handles, you know, we have our gang unit that a lot of people don't see here. We have our drug unit that does a great work. So we never lost any officers out here, believe me. We have minimum staffing that we always have it. And the crime's down, but if we see upticks, you know, when we had the sexual assaults, we put more officers over here. So, you know, we're constantly paying attention to crime trends. And right now, East Boston, besides this, has been pretty good. But you haven't lost any, but we're still looking, hopefully, to get... We bring the bicycle patrol out here when it gets you know,
when it gets nice.
It starts to flare up a little, but we want to get more out here. But things are good here, believe it or not, besides the recent uptick in violence, okay?
follow up on what the commissioner said. As I indicated, I hope that the arrest that was accomplished a couple of weeks ago has made a major impact to bring peace and a little bit of solace to the community. But our work isn't done, and the investigation is ongoing, and wherever we will continue to focus on any kind of activity that's produced by violent gangs, and not only in this community, but in many communities throughout Massachusetts. So we have not disappeared from the scene, and we work very closely, not only with the Boston Police, but Chelsea, Everett, and this is the FBI, and the state police's own Massachusetts State Police Gang Unit, which is a tremendous work in this case as well. Thank you.
Well, also, just so you know, when I mentioned at the beginning of the meeting, before this arrest happened, we reached out, working with the U.S. Attorney's Office, the Mayor's Office, Police Department, District Attorney, and Suffolk County Sheriff, along with everyone. We're putting together a meeting to talk about what we're doing individually, so how we can deliver services better. So it's not just about arresting, it's about how do we get more services into the community on some of the great practices that are happening. And I think if we can have a better system with my Office of Public Safety and all of us working together, you will see a bigger impact as well. So we're going to continue on this stuff. This isn't a one-time meeting and we're done. We're constantly focusing. Celeste?
Hi, Celeste Myers, I'm a resident of East Boston. And my thinking is in alignment with yours, that it has to be a multi-pronged approach. And one of the facets that we haven't touched on a whole lot is engaging the families and the parents, particularly those that are working around the clock. English isn't their first language. They don't have the luxury to be as in tune with the schools. How are we getting that information out to parents? Is there a plan to supply them with tools, resources, finances at the state and local level to make sure that that is happening? And you talk about a number of different programs. I know myself growing up in East Boston, doing the leadership program, that sort of thing. That's a little bit overt for a lot of the youth that are trying to be cool, go under the radar. They may not want to engage in some of these heavily branded programs, but really just making sure that there is contact being made. And I don't know if it's whether it's through the school, Principal Brangiforte, or through street workers, that kind of thing.
I think a lot of it's happening now and we don't know that. I mean, I think we certainly have to do more of a job. And the one thing is part of what the flyers on the back, I think, are making sure you take them, give them to your neighbors. It can't all be on the mayor's office or the government officials. It has to be the community, and I think we have to do a better job. I know here at the school they've done an awful lot of outreach, particularly with the families and the kids. I was actually here at the school yesterday and talked to some of the kids. I did a little visit here. So there's some more work we have to do working with our Office of New Bostonians. They're here tonight, they're getting information out to the different communities. So we're going to continually try to think about how do we get more information out. I think that there's a whole bunch of different ways. Working with Sal and Adrian, obviously, the local electeds, how do we get more information? It's constantly pumping information out. I agree with you on what you said, but it's also, it has to be a full court effort. So we're going to need help from the community as well.
Hi,
Gene, let me go east. I'll get you in a minute, Gene.
Hi, I'm Renee Scalfani with the Jeffrey Point Neighborhood Association with Margaret. And actually, over 20 years ago, I actually worked with Phil. I volunteered in the neighborhood. We ran a youth center, and it wasn't easy. We did have some bad kids in there that we felt they needed the environment. But like now, what if someone in here came across a kid that the gang is trying to get affiliated, and the kid didn't want to be involved because they were relentless, and they went after those two kids. And they ended up killing them because the kids didn't want to be in the gang. What can we do or give any advice to someone that comes across a kid that's trying to stay away from the gang?
You know, if you reach out to us, reach out to Captain McCormick, our gang officers deal with that in other parts of the city. And, we usually try to do outreach. We have what's called Operation Homefront, where, Reverend Rivers and Reverend Scott here, they do home visits, and I'm sure we can get some clergy over here, and they work with the kids who are sort of dangling with the whole idea of getting involved in gangs, or if they feel threatened. Our gang unit, when you hear the gang unit, you think like they're all about, locking kids up. They do all kinds of outreach to these kids, and, they'll get them a safe environment. They'll try to diffuse that, but if you know anyone who's getting threatened or anyone in here, please don't hesitate to reach out to us, and we'll make sure we get them in a safe place, and we'll talk to whoever might be threatening.
And that'd be good to have that in the school, let the school know.
Yeah, well, my game plan after this was actually to get into the schools, hopefully, the principal, and have our school police and our gang unit, and bring some resources to let these kids know if they need help. we're here for them. And obviously, after talking to Captain McCormick, we have to also get to the playgrounds and the soccer fields, because I'm hearing that's where some of the kids might feel intimidated or the pressure's on them to join games. So we realize we have some work to do some outreach to these kids, especially if they're feeling threatened to join games. So we're on it. We know we have to do a lot of work to keep these kids from being pressured.
Thank you.
Two things. One, I want to commend Commissioner Evans for an idea that goes directly to your point. When Roxbury, Dorchester, and Mattapan were much more violent, the police department with probation and other outreach workers went to every school in the city when the Bloods and Crips were recruiting in Dorchester, Roxbury, Mattapan. Boston's the only city in the United States where that kind of mobilization suppressed successfully. The same thing can be done here, and I talked to Commissioner Evans earlier today. U.S. Attorney General Ortiz talked about prevention and intervention. One piece is the stick. You got to hammer the bad guy. The other side is prevention and intervention, and you've got to start in the middle schools. There's this idea that you start in the high school, by the end, you do use in the game. So at the middle school, the clergy from this community, street workers, police, and probation, under the leadership of the mayor, have to mobilize and put boots on the ground. Because but then the real game is boots on the ground, in the soccer field, on the corner, with the kid, working with the police, and intercepting on the prevention intervention thing. And then some resources getting put into it. Because folk ask us to do everything and then say, do it with nothing. So we'll need help from the community to get the resources, because the man said it become 50 to 100 kids.
Yeah.
You can do 50 to 100 kids if you can put the boots on the ground and people work for real. Thank you.
Any other questions? Yes, ma'am. I think one of the things that I'll say, I don't know if anyone wants to jump in, but I think keep your eyes open and keep your ears open. If you hear something, say something. If you contact the captain or the community service officers, that message will get to the appropriate people. I think that's number one. I think if you have children, that might be, if you have kids yourself, talk to them about what they're hearing in the neighborhood, what they're seeing in the neighborhood. Just have a conversation around the dinner table with them and see what they say. They might not say anything, but they might pick up, you might pick up little things here and there. I think that that's important. I honestly think the work that was done last week by the police, the U.S. Attorney's Office, and the state police, I think that will solve some of the problems. But what we want to do is how do we continue that doesn't happen moving forward? So how do we prevent it from happening? So really, I think it's paying attention and trying to hear what you're hearing out there, and also be involved in your neighborhood associations and make sure that you stay connected to talk about what's going on. I think that that's an important piece as well, as far as moving forward.
Just to follow up, talk to your kids. And really try to find out what's on their minds, what they're feeling. And if they're not saying anything, be observant, be alert. Sometimes behavior changes when a child is in fear or concerned or feeling pressure, from other outside sources. And also be engaged with the school. The school's doing, a tremendous job. You need to be engaged with the school. And I think that if you group together, because I know when you're parents, you have little kids, you're working full-time, it's really, really hard, and some of you may not be able to be as engaged as you can be, but group together. Do sort of like a group of parents that will watch out for each other's kids, that will be engaged and communicate with one another, especially if you know parents that are having a difficult language problem because they don't speak English and they don't receive the messages that they should. Try to really group up with other parents who need a little bit more help in observing, in communicating, and in engaging. And I think, as the mayor said, I can't really stress enough, if you see something, say something. There's a small percentage of individuals, this has been true for so many decades, a small percentage of violent and brutal individuals who cause a greater degree of the harm. And it's great, but it's a small amount. If we can get to that, the impact players, then we can at least protect. And if we focus then on the at-risk kids, you know, that's a multi-tiered job that we can at least try to be more effective in addressing the problem.
Superintendent Rourke just brought something up that we're going to also step out here. We do a lot of youth police dialogues. We do it especially in Dorchester, Mattapan, Roxbury, where we bring the police in, we team them up with one of the young kids from the community, and some of the kids that might be on the edge of joining gangs, and we put them together, and they might spend the day together, or they might spend 4 or 5 hours, and we get a lot out of those youth police dialogues. I know myself and Carmen Ortiz here, we've been over at the mosque, over on Tremont Street, dealing with Somalian young men and women who were starting to get involved in armed robberies. And we brought in 12 male officers. We hooked them up with 12 Somalian kids. We had a graduation for them. It was very positive. We did the same with the females over there, Somalian females. And so we're looking to come over here and start working with some of the kids from Central America, let them know what we're about, and understand what some of their needs. So we're going to start doing some youth police dialogues and reach out to kids that are sort of just dangling on the whole idea of getting involved in gangs and drugs. So, that's something we're going to step up, besides working with the schools, and also besides, trying to get the mayor as far as getting resources to a lot of these kids.
I would just add to what everyone just said. You touched on it over here from Jeffrey's point about it's a real troubling trend that we're seeing that I'm very disturbed about, and that is, the aggressive recruitment of kids to join gangs when they might not want to. So there's two types of kids as I see it. Kids that are tantalized by the prospect, oh, that seems glamorous, I think I'll want to join, I'm thinking about it, they don't take the step, and that's where some of our programming comes in to try to steer them away from that. And now this phenomenon that doesn't seem like it's that new, as the Reverend Rivers talked about it from years ago, pressuring kids to join gangs. And so to that question, what more can we do? Be hyper vigilant. If you see that sort of activity happening in any setting, probably the school would be one place, but the playground, the sports place, or whatever, be hyper vigilant to that. Now you might say to yourself, but I don't want to get in the middle of that. I don't want to be involved with that. That's where you pick up the phone and call the police. And that's where those gang unit officers can step in and address this head on. Not necessarily the kid who's being pressured. He needs to be spoken to, but the kid who's doing the pressuring has to be dealt with, I think, in my opinion, pretty strongly. So please don't ignore that. When you see that, or if some 15-year-old kid tells you this is happening to him, please let us know. Please let us know so that we can step in and do something.
And the internet also, they try to recruit them off the internet. We had an excellent meeting with Captain McCormick the day they all got caught. And he actually gave a lot of good points to the parents about checking the internet, what your kids are talking to, and on the phone.
Yeah, and I know that all three agencies monitor the internet all day long. I know that the U.S. Attorney's Office, the Police Department, District Attorney, they're always constantly on there, and that's where they get some of the information, I think, when people go online. Let me just jump. I'm going to go this way. 1, 2, 3. Okay, 3 questions. 4. All right.
I am a fan of the police. My brother's a cop, and I praise the cops every day because they worry about that. But what I think we're missing in all the dialogue here is the resiliency of the kids that are vicariously traumatized by these violent crimes. When this happened at the T station or at the beach, You know, this is almost as bad as when you hear about a suicide and you hear, you know, these trauma specialists come out to communities to help the kids right away. And I know just on Facebook that lots of kids are scared about even going out to their own streets or out in front of their own homes. We need to do something to help the resiliency of our own children that aren't in gangs, aren't in trouble. You know, reaching out to when this happens, to let them know if they need to talk immediately, that we open up the school and maybe open up some trauma specialists to come. I think that's very important because we're not feeling safe in our community. I appreciate getting to speed things up. I appreciate giving the word to me. I appreciate that. We've got to do something to keep the resilience of the kids in our communities strong and feel like they are safe. Because I know they don't feel that way.
We actually, 2 years ago in the budget, we put some money in the budget for trauma counseling that was working through the health centers. We've had it for 2 years now in the city. We're actually going to reallocate the money and take a different approach with trauma. We haven't done a good job with it. Individuals have done a good job with it, but not collectively. So we are right now in the budget process working in the city. We're going to reapply some of that money. We applied, I think it's a few $1 million in the budget for this exact reason. For when a violent act happens in a community, if we don't deal with the crime around it, other kids around there want revenge. They don't know how to express themselves. So we're working on that right now. And down the back, Danny Mulhern's down the back. You can go see Danny after this. We're working on this issue. All right?
So I'm a trauma specialist, and I volunteered, and I'm going to start this because we need a resiliency program now.
No, there is one. We'll talk to you after the meeting.
I'm not on the payroll, but I volunteered to do this because I care.
I live here in Jeffrey's Point, and I just wanted to say that it's hard to see that we are in a high school, but kids are here. And I think we need to have the kids here, see you, the neighbors, see everybody here around them. That it is a safe.
No, it's a great idea. Are we working on something?
I haven't.
Yeah.
The other thing that is happening, and I think it's not a mystery for anybody, is that East Boston is gentrified. It's getting gentrified, and a lot of people, especially immigrant community, is being displaced. So, a lot of people who are in this room are right now living in the basement of a church because for months
Yo estoy viviendo en un basement de
and
una
the
iglesia
kids
por
are coming to the school.
los niños
And sometimes they're pointed as God members because they try
y
to
están
fit it
contando
and
una
they
propaganda.
dress one way and they are not. So we need to work
Necesitamos
in
trabajar
other issues around
temas.
what is going on in our community. It's not just the gas, it's that our families are getting displaced.
Ellos se están
People
desplazando.
don't have jobs.
La gente no
So
tiene
we need to
trabajo.
take care of
Tenemos que
those
cuidar
issues if
de
we
esa
want
gente
to change things in the
si
community.
queremos cambiar las cosas en la
And
comunidad.
kids have to be here.
Y hay que estar aquí. Ellos tienen que oír.
Thank you. Let me just address 2 points you brought up. One is we're working on a meeting now with the kids, with the headmaster and the greater East Boston community, so we are working on that. And the second issue about the displacement, it is a big issue. It's a big issue across the city. The families that were living in the basement of the church are no longer there. They got housing through the department. I think all right, well, we'll talk after because I was just told afterwards because we're working with that department able development.
Excuse me. He wants to know whether you pointed at him or her.
Just go first.
Deja que ella vaya primero. Okay.
En primer lugar, quiero darle los agradecimientos
In the first place, I want to give you my appreciation
a todas las personas que están colaborando en esta campaña.
and all
Al
the persons.
alcalde, a los abogados, a Lamattina, a todos los personajes que están aquí, a que la policía.
I'm not doing simultaneous. First of all, I'd like to give thanks to, of course, Carmen Martinez, all the officials, officers that are here, and as you can see that they're greatly involved, and I feel that very much, and I want to thank you very much.
Por esta campaña que están haciendo
For this campaign that you are
para solucionar la criminalidad en la comunidad.
to find solution to the criminality that is happening in the community.
Y como otros han dicho, hay que apuntar fuerte para los que lo necesitan fuerte.
And like it has been said by others, that you have to point and get them hard, that those that deserve very
Pero
hard.
también hay al otro lado
And on the other side,
algo que me preocupa
something that worries me personally,
y es la deserción escolar masiva,
the passiveness of the school,
que muchas familias
that many families
con sus hijos a veces no tienen cómo motivar a los hijos para que vayan a la escuela.
Many families sometimes don't have the motivation, even with their own children, so they could attend the school.
Y muchos se quedan en la casa.
And a lot of those kids wind up just staying home.
Entonces, a mí me preocupa eso. Si
Then
por
that
ejemplo,
worries me. For example,
si para los que están juzgados por casos criminales,
those that's already been, they have judged for cases that are criminal,
se están haciendo programas, elaborando programas y actividades para sacarlos adelante.
and you're making programs to try to get them
Entonces
forward.
también hay que pensar en estos pasivos,
You have to
porque
also
esos
think about the passive ones also.
son los que están siendo convencidos por las gangas y por los otros muchachos que están en la
And
calle.
those are the ones that are being convinced by the gangs and the other kids just thinking it like it's famous.
De todas maneras, la lucha ya la empezamos y vamos a luchar porque
In
la
any way,
comunidad
the struggle has started, and we're going to struggle.
merme el índice de criminalidad y se sientan más responsables con progresar con el estudio.
It minimizes.
Que disminuya la criminalidad
It minimizes the criminality.
y que los muchachos tengan programas más motivantes
And
para
the kids would
salir
have
adelante,
programs that
para
are more
sacarlos adelante.
motivated, so they can help them to come out and go forward.
De todas maneras, muchas gracias.
In any case,
Me siento feliz de saber que estamos en esta lucha.
thank you very much. I feel very happy that
Good evening. My name is William. I was a soccer teacher, and I was working with this for the last 9 years. The last 3 years, I tried to get the program with the kids in the school, but I couldn't because they charge a lot of money for hours to practice with them inside. So I want to very reduce and give us more time for soccer programs in East Boston. So that's the one. Thank you.
What I would suggest you do is see us afterwards.
They charge too much money. They charge $170
We just
for
expanded.
1 hour, 2 hours for the kids. The kids can't pay.
Sure. We just expanded city soccer here in East Boston, so see Claudia after the meeting. What I'd like, if you have questions, I know that we have a lot of, I wanted to get some questions I want to be able to answer. While we have everyone here. Let me start way down the back. So, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Say that again. Did you see out the first part of that?
We've had car fires, hold up, a lot of them here, on the street that I live on. There's been at least 10 fires. And I just want to know what kind of things you have.
I'm going to have the captain address East Boston. Yes.
What she said was, on her street, it's Falcon Street, correct? That they had a rash of fire. It was an arsonist. This person was actually setting the fires on purpose to draw attention to himself. He started on people's cars, started in people's trash, and then went and tried to burn someone's house. Fortunately, we have a good fire prevention unit, and my detectives, and believe it or not, myself and one of my other officers also helped in the surveillance. That individual is under arrest. He actually really does need mental help, but in that seeking of mental help, he nearly killed somebody. He has been in custody. We have had some vandalism up on Falmouth Street. We've had some stuff from gang tagging. Anyone in this room knows me, knows I hate tagging, I hate graffiti. I've always said if you think graffiti's art, go do it on your house. Don't go do it on someone else's house. So we can get it down as soon as possible.
Let me just address any street here that if you don't feel you're getting services, you need to call 911, and then you need to contact your community service officer. Because oftentimes, I'm not saying the situation on your street, but people will say there's a rash of crime in the neighborhood. We'll ask if they call 911, we'll pull the report, we won't see the calls. You need to get in contact with the police department, and after the meeting, the CSOs are here, the community service officers, that's their job. They go out to the community, they work with the kids, they work with the seniors, they work with everybody. So make sure if there's something going on your street, you make sure you make that call in. Though I know there was some hands coming towards the front. Man with the scarf. Yes. Oh, sorry, Councilor General, I'm sorry. I didn't recognize you.
There are some kids, you are mentioning maybe a couple hundreds of people that you have already identified. First of all, as a government, we want to let you know, Mr. Mayor, we have been in a lot of meetings with Adrian and Capt. McCormick. We want to offer you whatever we can do to support and communicate with our own. All of this, have you said that it's important, those programs really make the difference. But it is so important to have Spanish-speaking people approaching them. And all of that is very important. And there is a lot of huge community members that can help you in those programs. So I just want to give briefly some figures. There are more than 2.3 million Salvadorians in the United States. It's a great numbers of Salvadorians that became U.S. citizens as well. There are 200 Salvadorians and a little bit more under the temporary protector status. And that's we are very hard working and know us for sure. So I don't know if I can apologize to you for what is going on, but we are in favor and support to the U.S. government and the local government what you are doing. And feel free to contact us as well, because we are willing to support any effort to these schools and everyone. We are located in 46 Bennington Street and East Boston. We are part of the community. So you are welcome to the consulate also to talk to the Salvadorian people and make them conscious as we are doing so far. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I just want to follow up briefly on what this lady said. And there are many in the community who see things, who are aware of certain activity, in particular criminal activity, and are afraid to come forward because they're afraid of their own situation and perhaps their own status here in this country. We still encourage you to please come forward and work with the community. We want to hear reports of crime, observations of criminal activity, and we're not here to just pick up and remove anyone in terms of their, their status, unless they're engaging in criminal activity. Para decirlo en español, porque he dicho esto en otras arenas, es importante que si ustedes ven un crimen, I'm repeating the same thing, so you don't have, I'm giving you a break. I'm giving you a little break. Yeah, okay, you don't need to translate in English, I'm just repeating what I said in English. Pero quiero tratar de llegar a ustedes lo que están pensando, que es importante que si ustedes ven algunos crímenes que están ocurriendo y tienen miedo de llamar a la policía por su estatus aquí en los Estados Unidos, es más importante que si ustedes son víctimas de crimen, si han observado crimen que ha ocurrido o usted conoce personas que están involucradas en crímenes, que ustedes nos den esa información, que llamen a la policía. No están aquí para mover personas que no están cometiendo crimen, y es importante que ustedes, como víctimas de violencia, de la ganga, que no se queden callados por miedo de su situación. Necesitamos su ayuda en esta situación. Gracias.
If there are no programs that are addressed to help those kids that come from broken families, to try to reach out to parents that are working full-time jobs, 2 full-time jobs, even 2 full-times and 1 part-time during the weekends, or kids that are 8 years old that are taking care of their small kids. Nothing is going to change. By the time that we come in 2 or 3 years, things are going to be worse. So unless you address, so Conley, she already offered some assistance. So all of you have to understand how the Salvadorian community, how this all started, before you even start to get into some kind of programs to assist the kids. Things have to start in middle school, even elementary school. Because these gangs are coming from Central America, and they're communicating. So people, if I'm running away from crime in El Salvador, and I know that if I come here, gangs are going to approach me to do something to my family, I'm not going to go to the police, because I know that they're already holding some people back there. So there's more to it. There's a lot. And so I just don't want that if Boston becomes a place where Salvadorians won't home, who most of them are citizens of borders, so are pushed aside because of this particular thing. I don't want to feel like I'm being stereotyped or segmented into this violence, because it's violence everywhere, in every community, Asians, African Americans, everybody has violence. But this kind of violence that we are seeing here, Mr. Dan said it, it's very, very violent. So MS-13 in 18 guys, it's another philosophy. You, not even us can understand the magnitude of it. So I'm only asking you to be more, not to think about this is something that, before the previous immigrants resolved it. No, this is a very particular issue. So there have been how many murders? Probably 3 or 5. how many people have been arrested? Are these the real people? Are these the people that have been arrested? Are these the people that are, so how far in the pyramid of the crime are the people that have been arrested? So things like that, how connected are these people to back in El Salvador, to other countries in Central America? This is spreading. And if we don't do something here, before these little kids in elementary school or middle school get to high school, by the time that they come here, they're lost. So people here, and all the teachers here in the East Boston High School, they have to connect with the parents, bring their parents here. So this hall should be full. People should be standing up here, all the parents.
Let me first of all thank you for that, your comment, and I think it's something that, at least for me, I'm getting an education tonight, and what we will do is we will work collectively together to look at the issue. I understand what you're saying. It's not the same as the Bloods and the Crips. It's a different situation. And I also want to thank the Consul General. I've never been at a meeting where the Consul General actually stood up at a meeting about her country or their country and was able to articulate the way she did about offering help. So we're certainly going to take her up on that.
Hello, my name is Paula. I've lived in the community my whole life. On the point that she was going, I would like to point something out. She mentioned something that's really important. If you understand how gangs work, it's not just kids in high school. There's a pyramid that goes around. And I mean, these gangs built up in California, Central America, all over the world. We're in a high school right now because this is where the meeting is. But around the community, so there's so many places where we see them. We can't really identify them very well, who they are, but they become regulars. You kind of know, we talked to this, I work in a restaurant, and we've made contact with the police department to join up and to actually see that, you know, in high school, you guys can identify who the kids are that are recruiting these people. But also out there, where we are, whether it's a restaurant or it's a barber shop, we listen, we hear, we know what's going on. And what Celeste was saying, where do we communicate what we know? Like, a couple of weeks ago, a couple of months ago, there was an accident on Sumner Street. I went on open discussion online. We can use the network to our advantage. You know, sometimes it's a bad thing, all the social media and everything. It distracts a lot of people, but if we use it to our advantage, we can identify so many problems that go on, so many things that not only kids are doing, but adults that recruit these kids. So I think we should have something online where we can communicate. There's a forum that's an open discussion for East Boston, and I actually could call a friend of mine to tell her who hit her car, because on open discussion they said who was the guy going up Jeffrey's Point and hitting all the cars down and ended up at the end of Jeffrey's Point. So I think communication is very important right now to make the community be tight, not only being here, but communicating at all times.
No, I appreciate your comments, and it's certainly something that we're going to work on right now. We're going to look at how do we do better networking. Your city councilor has been in constant contact with the commissioner and with all of us, and getting a lot of people calling his office concerned about what's happening. He's been basically on a daily conversation with the commissioner and understanding the issue and how to deal with it. So we're going to continue to work on the issue in a different way. I appreciate that. The district attorney wants to speak, and then right after him, we're going to have this woman speak, and then we're going to be taking a couple more questions, and then we're going to be moving on. So I'm going to have the DA come up here and say a couple words.
I just wanted to be clear that the speaker who spoke before Paul asked a question. I don't know if it was read to. Yes, I think you asked a question, I think, if I heard correctly, you know, have these homicides that occurred been solved? Have the people that were responsible for them been arrested? I don't know if we made that clear, but as a result of this joint investigation between FBI, U.S. Attorney, Boston Police, my office, all three homicides that occurred in East Boston, 2 in September of 2015 and the 1 in January, have been solved. And we believe that everyone who was involved has been arrested and is pending, and has, 2 of them are at large at the moment, have been identified and have been charged. That puts your mind at all at ease. I wasn't sure if that was clear to people.
It was clear.
Okay, it was. Okay, thank you.
Ma'am, with the red? Yes.
have to solve with those kids, but not only with the kids, with the parents, and with the teachers. And I also want to say that the police department should be doing something with these little kids, just to prepare them, look for something that can spend the time after school. But I want to say that you are doing a great job, but we don't want that you stop here. We want to see you doing your best with our support, but my community with your support too. So I have a question, and I want that you pay attention to that. Because the case is that I have heard about these gangs, and one of the topics that I hear a lot is that the purpose, and their topic is skill, violation, and the power of the control. And I would like to hear from you guys. What do you want? If you have any plan to work on it with them, you can do it. To stop. Like, I don't want to see Boston, like, the becoming other Central Americans countries, and, you know, this kind of control everything. I don't want that here can happen. What do you plan to do to control it and stop it?
Let me try and address that question. First of all, thank you for your comment. I think tonight, the intention of tonight's meeting was to get a better understanding what the arrest meant the other day in the city of Boston with the coalition of police, the United States Attorney's Office, DA, FBI. I think to explain that. The second point of tonight's meeting was to talk about public safety on a bigger scale in East Boston. And the third point of tonight was for us to listen, elected officials and all of the officials here, to listen to the concerns you have. And I think in particular, the last four speakers that spoke, including yourself, gave at least me some ideas to think about when we go back. So I think what we're going to do is, when we have our follow-up meeting, really talk about how are we going to truly address the issue of the violence moving forward, particularly around the two gangs that we spoke about tonight, but also how do we get information into the schools at an earlier age. And I will have a conversation. We've already begun this with the superintendent of schools. We've already identified the schools in the city, and how do we get a program in there to start talking to the first, second, third, fourth, fifth graders in the school and explain to them about what's happening, not tell them what's happening, but give them information so they know where to go to. So that's what the follow-up is going to be, the next step of this. And then also bringing the young people into a conversation, maybe not 700 kids in one hall, but breaking up those dialogues around East Boston and around the city, but also how do we get information to the parents? And that's another piece. How do we work with our Office of New Bostonians? How do we work with the churches? How do we work with the community? It's really going to be the churches that's going to help us get to the parents. We can't force parents to come to a meeting. We can't force parents, and we can't help them on how to raise their kids. But what we can do is work through the clergy, work through the community organizations to outreach into those communities and give them the tools they need to be successful. That's what works in neighborhoods across America, and it's successful. We can do it here too.
There's a bunch.
Yeah, on the way out, there's a flyer. There's programs on there. That's part of what we have. And we're also going to be working with our Office of Public Safety, along with all these other offices, including the City Council and State Representative, on identifying other people. So the police department will know from their reports who some of the impact players are. Also, the District Attorney, U.S. Attorney's Office. Not to the point where people are getting arrested, but how do we target people that are either coming out of jail, that were out, so we can focus on those people and get them into jobs, employment, and get them off the street. It's been successful so far. In the last couple of years, we see the reduction in crime, we see the reduction in homicide. We have to do more with it, but we're working. It's a holistic approach, and we are going to continue to do that. And let me move on, because I have to keep going. There's a couple more questions.
The last thing is, with the school, I'd like to hear from the school what the school is doing.
I just said it. The schools were this school's having a conversation in the classrooms, but also it's not just this school. This isn't a school problem. This is a whole neighborhood issue that we have to identify. So we're going to continue to work in the soccer fields, with the Little League coaches. As the summer comes up, we're going to be working with the basketball coaches, we're going to be working with all different people, we're going to be working in every school. We're going to be doing a full informational exercise. Sir?
My name is Attorney Madaro, and I'm a parent of a 15-year-old that comes to the school, and I've been here for a couple of months visiting the school. I'm very confident about the job that the principal's doing, also the captain and all the police officers, because when we addressed this issue about a year ago in Maverick, with the little gang that existed there, the captain and the detectives and the gang unit took care of it. Basically, my fear was that I started getting involved with community doing and whatever I could as a volunteer, not law enforcement, is because my heart goes out to all the parents that have lost the little kids, 15-year-olds, to this violence. I want to get emotional, but as a Colombian, we have our own issues. And it hurt me 3 months ago when the Salvadoran community leader said that why should the Colombians be getting involved or sticking their noses? This is not, if it was Colombian, if it was Haitian, if it was Mexico, I've lived in the toughest parts in Miami and LA. I'm here in East Boston, and it's not going to become the way those places are because we have transparent government and we have great leaders here. So all I want you to know is that we're in a safe place. Where I've lived in Bacon Street, you see a lot, you hear a lot, but please talk to leaders and talk to law enforcement because I don't want to hear parents say, oh, because of our immigration status, because pretty much about 2 months ago, when the gossip or the false rumors about ICE being in the train station, that could jeopardize a federal investigation, state police investigation, any investigation that they were working on because of false rumors through social media. Like Paula said, me and Paula are very close friends. We're practically like family. The parents should be here, and hopefully with social services getting involved with some of these families, like the mayor says, and everybody's here, everything's going to come together. We just have to be patient, and we're going to have a great summer, and just get more parents involved with all the clubs, social clubs, everything's out there. We just have to work together and work the pieces together like we're sewing. Anyway, I'm sorry.
Thank you. I'm going to end with this. There's a lot of work to be done. We're going to do a lot of outreach. This isn't one community versus another community, one nationality versus another nationality. At the end of the day, we're all Bostonians. Wherever you came from, we're all Bostonians. We promise you this. Your elected and appointed officials are going to work extremely hard on a lot of the issues that were brought up tonight. This is not the first and last meeting we're going to have. We're going to continue to have meetings, continue to have dialogues. I think that if you see something, you say something. The police department is your friend. We're also going to have street workers coming into the community. We're going to have our youth. We have our Boston Center for Youth and Families here. We have our facility on Parish Street. We have a lot of great organizations. We're going to be reaching out to the clergy. We're going to be reaching out to the parents. We're going to be doing everything we can to make sure that our young people are safe and to make sure that our community is safe. And that's what our job is. I mean, I don't want a phone call from the commissioner anymore saying that a 17-year-old boy or a 15-year-old boy or somebody was murdered anywhere in the city. And we work every single day to make a difference, and we're going to continue to do that. I want to thank all of you for coming out tonight. I want to give, honestly, a thank you to City Councilor Lamattina, State Representative Adrian Madaro, District Attorney Conley, United States Attorney Carmen Ortiz, and also Commissioner Evans for his work, and most importantly, for all of you for your work. I know that the last few months have been very nervous in the neighborhood, but we're going to continue to stay on top of this so we make East Boston, continue to make East Boston a great, great neighborhood.
With that, I want to take this opportunity, Mayor, to thank you, and all of us in East Boston, like U.S. Attorney, thank you for your work. This is what makes East Boston, East Boston. As a kid at the East Boston Social Center, I learned a little saying, when all give, all gain. And every day I live by that. And as an East Boston community, we all have to give. We all have to gain. So when you see something, you got to report it. If you have a neighbor that needs help, or a kid needs help, call us. We have a great captain who works very hard for this neighborhood. We meet once a week. We talk all the time. This hurts. When someone gets hurt in this neighborhood, it hurts all of us. So I'm proud to be his Bostonian. I'm proud that you're here tonight, because you're here tonight because you care. And Mayor, thank you for all you do for us.